Okay, so we're sitting here tonight with Richard from Novacaine Jane. We're doing a little bit of a look back to what we've just done on the release of Waiting for the Sun. Rich?
Thinking about all the things that I would have changed about A, the song, and B, the band. Yeah.
Well, that's been an interesting piece of conversation. I think there's a lot of things to discuss. We'll see with the evolution of some of the projects that we've been speaking about and the things that you've got kind of wrapped up in the in the pipeline for what's coming ahead of us. But I mean, just to let everyone at home kind of get a little bit of an insight, tell us a bit about that. First, tell us a little bit, maybe if you will, about the song. How did it come to being? How the vision kind of created, and then if you can tell us maybe a little bit about what is Novacaine Jane, what's the future of Novacaine Jane, but more importantly, what's the future with you and where are we going?
That's a lot of questions.
I like this. This way I can ask them all in one go, and I can keep drinking wine, and you can keep talking.
Well, I can drink more wine as well. I guess Waiting for the Sun was much like a lot of the songs I write with kind of begun without intention. I don't generally start a song with the intention of it meaning something or going somewhere. I very seldom have an idea about a song before I write it. It's generally I would guess, a lyrical reaction to some kind of melody line or some kind of piece of music that I write. So the song started around a very pretty guitar piece and then just evolved to become what it was, which was, I guess, a tragic love story in a sense. Kind of Romeo and Juliet fated to die. But there's something in that. I think that people like this idea that you can love something so much even though you know it's bad for you. So
kind of like what you're saying in the lyrics, you or I will never know each other more than lovers.
Waiting for the sun. Like this is it. This is the night. We're waiting for the sun to rise, and this is as far as it goes. So
it's beautiful. It's kind of like the nostalgia I think that most of us find ourselves in. You talk about love, and we talk about romantic love, and I mean it's an addictive thing. Like as human beings, it's quite addictive to be in that place, and it's also at the same time it's a death sentence in and of itself.
I don't know how much it's been sold to us. I mean, I don't know how much that's connected to pop culture at the moment, or how much that's an intrinsic part of human behavior, that we love that which destroys us. There's the one lyric I really like in the song is "We were never meant to survive the night," and I quite like that idea. I could see that, and I guess that's what music and that's what lyrics do for me. They create an environment, a musical environment that I can imagine things, that I can play out fantasies, that I can play out ideas visually, emotionally, and in my mind I saw that love that is dangerous, that love that is also destructive, and this understanding that this is it, this is I guess kissing on the deck of the Titanic before it sinks or while it's sinking, without Leonardo DiCaprio. But I mean that kind of idea that love can be bad.
And no matter how wonderful it may seem in the beginning, she's probably still going to kick you off on that iceberg at the end of the piece.
Absolutely. I think we like to hurt as people in general. I think we become precious about our pain, which is something that's important to me at the moment in my life stage, where I am currently.
Because you're going through quite a bit of personal drama as well, and change transformations.
Absolutely, which we need as artists. All of us need as artists is to suffer. But yeah, I think. What was I saying now?
Well, I mean, like one of the things that I find is very key there is this idea of us defining ourselves from a position of pain. Because that I think it's how we respect each other as men, it's how we respect each other in the world. Is we all get knocked down. Like life will keep fucking you up consistently. But who you are is pretty much based upon how do you interpret that? What do you do as a result of that? And who do you become as a result of that? And how do you take something so tragic? Sometimes as love can be the thing that saves us, at the same time the very thing that destroys us completely. And how do we take that and evolve? How do you take that and create art? Because it's very difficult to create art, I think, just from a purely intellectual kind of place.
But you think this maybe what we're doing, we're putting ourselves in a position to be hurt because we understand that it creates art. I mean, maybe that is the curse of being an artist, in any art form, I'm assuming, is that we realize we need certain things to make that art, and essentially we realize that is what defines us. So we start to believe that it's the love that defines us, but it's not the love that defines us, it's the art that defines us. So what do? We create situations whereby we know we are going to fail or we know we're going to hurt. We step in front of the train because we know that from that impact we will create something that's bigger than ourselves. Perhaps that's the attempt at immortality. Maybe that's what we're doing. The idea that we want to create something that outlasts us, and to do that we need to kind of die, I guess.
It's very interesting, though.
Maybe
the very notion that maybe we are our savior and our destroyer in the art of love, for the sacrifice of legacy.
Maybe
for something even greater. So it is.
I mean, it's a birthing process, right?
It is, yeah.
I mean, women understand natural birth. They understand physical birth in the world, and it hurts. That's what I understand.
There's the visual picture, and then it seems to kind of indicate
like
that.
Motherfucker, apparently. And maybe that's what an artist needs to do. We need to go through some kind of birthing process or some kind of resurrection. That that thing that we create needs to go through dying before it can become eternal. So we put ourselves in line for some serious pain, and we, as I said, we become precious. That's what I was saying. We become precious about that. It's amazing how often we feel extremely down or extremely, at the depths of despair, but we hold on to that as if it's something that belongs to us. When someone offers us a solution to take it away, we are defensive of the pain that we have. And that makes no sense. It seems like a serious contradiction, but I become extremely precious about my pain. I want to, bathe in it. I want to wallow in that pain.
Yeah.
As much as it's hurting me, I'm enjoying it at the same time.
There's something martyr-like about it at certain points.
There is something martyr-like about it, and the Romantics had it right. I mean, if we go back to the Romantics, there was something in that. Perhaps it was escapist. Perhaps we trying to escape the mundane and the boring, but I think there was something there that was really beautiful. That dying for something that's bigger than you is. It's lasting, it's lingering, and maybe that's what making art is.
It's kind of, I think, where the soul finds its remnants of the eternal is in art, because we live our day-to-day life and we go through the mundane, and we're just living out pop psychology.
Sure.
We're living out fundamental human behavioral tendencies, and I think we trying to create the drama so that we can get to this place in art that we can live out an almost supernatural personal life, a personal mythology that expands so much. And I think it connects with every other human being because it's in this mythology where we share some kind of connection, some kind of deeper self, if you will.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I think that's extremely unusual that to interact on a certain level with other people, natural people, real people, we have to escape the real. It kind of feels a bit weird. It kind of feels like a bit of a contradiction.
It does. But I also find like there's two sides to that coin. Because we do find interaction happening in certain cultures where we already have existing association. But it's in the outside of those cultures, when we're stepping outside of boundaries and social context that may not be familiar for everybody, that I find people tend to behave in these manners. And I think the behavioral problem is a marketing condition. It's almost like there's a socialized media condition for people of how they should act in their business context, how they should act in a relationship context, and all of this is rules. It's kind of like an old world beauty. Like we think about it, we fall in love sometimes when we think about old Renaissance times.
Sure.
And you see the beauty of it in the art and everything. And even if you think about like some certain like Eastern cultures, but if you really break down the steps, the courting steps in some of those ancient were ridiculous, were completely painful, and to put yourself through such torment and such torture to get what is actually a very simple and accessible result, in today's day and age. I think we're still kind of stuck in that. We're defined by this pursuit of pain and this desire to avoid pleasure, but we're forever trapped in its duality. We find ourselves that in art, however, we seem to have this freedom of expression inside of it, but it also seems to have a little bit of it allows us a moment of absence from the rule-based system of how we've been conditioned to interact with each other. We're only supposed to talk once we've gained rapport.
So essentially it is libidinal energies. It's surrendering to those kind of, I guess you would say, iddish behaviors that are outside of the superego. It is really the presence of self and the absence of everything else.
Yes.
Which is true love.
I love that. It is indeed. It isn't. That is, I think, So are we actually saying that we're stepping into something even far deeper than we're realizing?
I'm saying this is an extremely narcissistic pursuit, and perhaps we don't really want people to know how selfish we are, in fact. Edit.
Yeah, but in the same truth, like I think in that statement of recognizing how selfish we really are, we also find the final thing that we really have in common with absolutely everybody. Because technically we're all that damn selfish.
We all are that, and that's what the connection is.
Exactly.
That's very interesting.
So, but anyway, we're kind of running a little bit. Tell us a little bit now, what's Novacaine Jane doing? Is Novacaine still going forward? Is there a re-emergence of the band and the artist and the team?
I don't know. Novacaine Jane is a bit of a floating entity at the moment. It's really it's kind of like a foggy mist of abstract ideas that are floating around that I guess are looking for exact forms to wrap themselves around. By exact forms I mean, you know, cool musicians, cool people. But yeah, Novacaine Jane is really just, as I said, it's a haze of fog and mist. It's just intangible kind of romantic ideas that are trying to attach themselves to, you know, to some kind of animated entity, some kind of person that plays bass or plays drums or plays guitar or sings, etc.
Well, so if you're out there and you're listening and you think you have quite a bit of talent and you like the music video, get in touch with us and we'll put you in touch with Rich for a little bit of an audition. If you're extra hot, it'll be a double audition. But you're also working continuously, you're producing some other pieces, some stuff that we're going to be looking at forward.
Absolutely, I always will. Waiting for the Sun was a huge learning process. That song, I think, it's, and I hate to say this, but I think we all feel that song has lost what it initially was. It's been a labor of love, and it's really lost, you know, what fundamentally made it cool in the first place. It's become very staid and very stagnant, and I guess overproduced to a degree because we battled with and tried to force it into something for so long that it really doesn't have the initial impact that I think it had. And the more I try and grab at the initial impact it had, the more I feel I'm losing that. So it's been quite painful. I don't think the song is what it was when we started it. We've pushed through because I think the song is a good song anyway, but just because we wanted to make something that was cool. And so far that it has worked. I think we've got a good product. But I would like to be in a situation where, you know, the products to come are far more organic and kind of take on a life of their own. That between you and myself and this thing that we're doing, and we are able to capture that initial energy, whatever was there in the first place, without turning it into something else. How do I put this? When I wrote Waiting for the Sun, it was like a lot of fucking. And now it seems like the end of a long marriage. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
When was Waiting for the Sun?
When was Beautiful Marriage?
When was it originally created though?
It's been a while now. I would say 2 years. I've been sitting on it for about 2 years.
Now we got into production.
Now that we only got into production, but more importantly, I think we started something. We started cogs in motion. We started a momentum that I think will gain. You know, it'll become quite unstoppable. Everything from now on going forward in terms of the production side will be a lot easier because we have a working understanding of each other.
Exactly. And the project's coming forward now out of our shared studio of Nevermore Media and everything like that. Should be quite exciting, actually.
And the songs are better. The things I'm writing at the moment are better songs. I mean, I thought that was a good song to start with, but these songs are better songs.
When you say better, how would you define it? Would you say that it's better from a general technical point of view? Would you say that it's a term of you yourself having matured in your art in a way that it's almost catering to a slightly different audience now even? Or have you just refined in the direction that you're going to? How would you describe better more accurately?
I think better in the sense that they're still extremely raw. They are literally melody lines with good lyrical content. What I like about a song, I guess, is the same as what I like about a painting, which is probably the same as you like or you love about cinematography, videography, is that there's the potential for something to be perfect within itself. I don't really know how to explain that outside of, sometimes I get to the end of a song, lyrically I'll reach the end of a song, and I'll think no matter what I do, this can't be better. It doesn't define the entire body, it doesn't define who I am, It is just in itself
Complete.
complete. It couldn't be fixed. There's not a lyric that I would change.
Yes.
It's not something that I would alter. It just feels like it's now become an independent entity outside of myself, and it just feels perfect. It's, I guess, like having a child. It's just a really good piece of work.
I think at the end of the day, it's a very powerful piece. It has a very strong emotional element to it. And it does speak to a lot of things inside of people today. I do, however, getting to know you as an individual as well as an artist, see the massive progression from what was originally just component of the band to maturing as an individual artist and spreading out into other areas and other arenas now. So I'm very curious to see, like, with the music and the other things that we've got in the pipeline in terms of production, how that is going to refine and the kind of quality that we're going to be presenting forward. But I do see a massive growth, and I'd love to see how that is. One of the things that I respect from you as an artist is that you approach things intelligently. You're able to bring this raw, powerful emotion, but still house it in a structure that connects, which is something not everybody does. And a lot of people are just too caught up in just creating something, but they don't consider the components of it. And I think that's why a lot of them fail, where I feel things are a little bit different when we're looking at these pieces.
Well, I mean, that's a fantastic compliment. Thank you. Look, I think the work that we're making comes from an honest place, which is important. We are making something honest. We're not necessarily singing to the choir as much, although one of the things that has impressed me by yourself working with you so much is your understanding of market and of trends and of social psychology as group psychologies and things like that, and being able to play to those things specifically and being able to in a sense systematically hunt down aspects and target very very specifically at those. I like that. I think that has huge potential going forward. But from my side, if I could be happy, it would be being in a situation where, as the raw motion is there, as the idea is there, in its inception, right at the beginning, could we just capture that and get it down? If we were able to do that, I think the momentum would be massive, and the artwork would benefit hugely, rather than trying to polish things too much that have taken too long to put into place anyway. And maybe that's my problem with Waiting for the Sun, is that the person I am now is not the person who wrote it.
There's too much waiting.
Yeah, there was too much waiting for the fucking sun. Yeah.
It was a long night, but the dawn is upon us.
That fucking sun never rose. And guess what? We did survive it, so I was a liar. I think that's honest. I'm not the same person who wrote that song.
No.
Where I am emotionally is not, and intellectually is not where I was, and musically is not where I was when I wrote the song.
I think that's one of the benefits of the partnership.
Yeah.
And friendship that we've got now moving forward with the next pieces of project coming out. There's a lot of things, and I mean, some of the things that some of you might find interesting is there's quite a list of new artists that we're bringing together in this project with Richard and myself, as well as Henry and the rest of the guys from the team. Amazing talent, because that's the beauty about our country. We have amazing talent, and I think Rich will agree with me here. But the problem is, we have people trying to sell out, people that have this paradigm that think the resources aren't available right here. And that's incorrect. The truth is, we have all the resources, we have all the talent, we have all the possibilities. The problem is, we just have people that don't believe in themselves and people that aren't committed. And if you change that and you bring a bunch of people together that are intelligent, that are committed, that are creative, that are passionate, is when you start seeing results. And those are results that we're starting to see. And the projects that we're lining up, that we're going to be bringing forward, are some things that you're going to get to enjoy. And we want your feedback on that. We want to participate with that. That's not just us telling you what entertainment is. That's us working with you and collaborating with everybody to create entertainment. We are South Africans. We have our own unique kind of signature. But at no point does it say that that signature should not only be of an international standard, but exceed international expectations. Because that's the possibilities that are here, and some of the things that we've been working on behind the scenes that we're looking forward to bringing up. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, what's next, personally?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to make the point that this group, Henry, yourself, myself, and a number of the people that we've been working with, has inspired a huge amount of belief in me, that wasn't there in the first place. That's important. I have belief that things can happen because all of a sudden there are specialists in fields that are better at doing what they do than I could be at doing what I do. Does that make sense?
But isn't this the classic mastermind principle? You surround yourself with people that are going to motivate you, going to push you, and that are better at certain other areas.
Sure, and the collective is greater than the sum of the parts, which is very important to me.
Exactly.
What is coming out of it is bigger than what I am, what you are, what Henry is. It's just the potential for it to create something, to create products that are, as you say, of an international standard is definitely there. The point I'm making is, if you're working with young talent, you're able to guide young talent around the same mistakes that we've made.
Very true.
That we've learned the hard way.
Very true.
So working with young talent, the exciting thing for me about working with young talent is taking that that emotional boldness that I had at 16 and 17, that single-mindedness, that I don't know, hardened for life, that intense young energy,
that reckless creativity.
sure, and directed with knowledge where it should be directed. I think what comes out of that is far bigger than I don't want to say far bigger, but at least I would feel good being able to give back where I think those opportunities were lacking when I was younger.
I think that's the beauty. Like, I don't think people have a sound education. I mean, there's an education. Don't get me wrong. There's sound musical education. That's really going on in the environment. You can go and get technically trained in vocals and song and marketing, but there's very little guidance. Very little actual guidance that understands, that has been, and not just gone and musically trained, but has been in the clubs, that has been in the business, that has actually made it work, and has not only the experience but the communicative skills in order to translate that and to help formulate these things. Because there's a lot of formulative talent, and in fact, if that's something that you find interesting, if you think that you have a lot of talent, Nevermore Media, along with Richard and everything we're doing, is a situation or a place where you can find yourself as an artist developing, and all the resources are there now, from recording studios to video, that allows you to put all that into practice, along with people that aren't going to mess you around, aren't going to bullshit you and try to sell you some sweet story, but just basically tell you that yes, you either do have it or you don't, and either way, here's how you get to the next step. So that's all the time we have, unfortunately, for today. Hope you tune in with us again. Rich, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Mr. H?
To releasing the music video.
Oh, finally.
Hell yeah.
Should we tell them what we're really drinking? It's not wine. It looks like wine. It's not.
Really good grape juice. Really good grape juice.
I'm glad you guys are drinking grapes.